आत्मावारे द्रष्टव्य श्रोतव्य है. This Shukla Yajurveda. That Atma must be drashtavya. Atma must be seen. Why drashtavya? Seen means, just as I see with my eyes an object so clearly, Atma must be known. Drashtavya means Atma must be known clearly. Means there must be direct, immediate knowledge of Atma. How do you know Atma? Shrotavya. He must do Shravanam. Vicharetavya. Atma must inquire into. Iti Shravana Vidhi Upalabdhave. For this person, he immediately when his mind is registered this Vidhi instruction, Shravana Vidhi, that Atma must be, Shravana is Vicharetavya. One must make an inquiry into the nature of Atma. Upalabdhave. Now, that automatically happens when you study. Alright, then the Tikakara himself is Tasya Artha. That this Vidhi is what they call Niyama Vidhi. So, when there is a Vidhi that you must make an inquiry, you may do it differently. Somebody may study Puranas. Well, I want to, all that. After all, I have to study. I have to know what Atma is. I will study Vedas, somebody says. Somebody says, I will study Puranas. Somebody says, I may study something else. Somebody may study Atma, which is by the Shastra, which reveals Atma as many. And somebody may study Shastra, which reveals Atma as Anusha, etc. In what manner should one study? So, that Shrutavya, all Tavya Pratyaya is an instruction. It's an adesha that you must do the vichara. So, that there is a vidhi, it also restricts you. That you must not just in any sweet manner that you go about inquiring into the Atma, there must be a particular manner in which this inquiry must be conducted. That's called niyama vidhi. So, tasya artha amrutatva kamena advaita atma vichara eva vedanta vakyaihi kartavya iti. Amrutatva kamena. And so, kaschid dhiraha pratyek atmanam avrutta chakshuhu amrutatva michan. So one who is desirous of amrutatva, immortality. Well, who will be the person who will respond to this vidhi? There are so many vidhis in Vedas. When you study your branch of Vedas, then what is it? Swarga kamaha yajeta. So one who is desirous of heavens, he must perform this particular yaga. Then the fellow who is interested in Swarga will respond to that. There will be very few who will respond to this particular instruction. It is not that everybody responds to every instruction. As we said, every instruction is meant for a particular adhikari. So the fellow with adhikari will respond to a particular instruction. So Swarga Kamaha, one who is desirous of heaven, will respond to the instruction pertaining to that action. Putra Kamaha, one who is desirous of son, will respond to some other instruction. So different people study Vedas with different intentions. So different vidhis will register in the mind of different people. Who is the one who will respond to the vidhi Shrotavya? Amrutatva kamena. Only one who is desirous of immortality. Because Atma is apahatapatma. He is pure. So Satya Kamaha, Satya Sankalpaha. So when he knows that Atma is like this, that one gains the Atma, then alone one gains immortality. So one who is desirous of immortality. Advaitat vichara heva vedanta vakyahi kartavya. So Advaita Atma Vichara eva kartavya. Meaning one must do the vichara of Advaita Atma, not Dvaita Atma. So when it is Atma vare drashtavya, Atma must be known. Which Atma? Advaita Atma or Dvaita Atma? Because those instructions may not clarify certain things and may open a variety of alternatives for you. And therefore, there is a restriction here that Advaita Atma Vichara eva kartavya. One must do the vichara of Advaita Atma, not Dvaita Atma. Atma who is Advaita Advitiya, one without a second, that Atma one must know, and not the Atma like Sankhya Shastra, etc., which talk about multiplicity of Atma. So Advaita Atma vichara eva kartavya, Vedanta vakyahi kartavya. How should you do that? Should you do independently? Or should you study Puranas? Or what should you study? Vedanta vakyahi eva kartavya. So there are two kinds of restrictions here. Advaita vichara eva kartavya, Vedanta vakyahi eva kartavya. Atma should be understood as a Dvitiya Atma, and Shrotavya is Vedanta vakyahi Shrotavya. Meaning, that one must make an inquiry into the nature of the Atma with the help of Vedanta Vakya, with the help of Upanishads, and not with the help of Purana, etc. Iti, this is all. And so, Evakara is connected both ways. Advaita Atma Vichara eva kartavya, Vedanta Vakya hi eva kartavya. And so, what happens? Tena, Kamyena, Niyama Vidhina, Arthadeva, Bhinnatma Shastra Pravrutti, Vaidikanam Puranadi Pradhanyam va Nirasyate, iti Vastu Gatihi. Tena refers to Kamyena Nitya Vidhina, Niyama Vidhina. So now Niyama Vidhi means a Vidhi or instruction that restricts you as to how you should do that, is Kamya Vidhi. Kamya Vidhi means a Vidhi or that action, that gives rise to a result. You respond to a certain instruction because of a certain desire. Amrutatva Kamena. So by the one who is desirous of immortality, he alone responds to the instruction. So this becomes Kamya Vidhi. And Niyama Vidhina, that by Vedanta Vakya alone and Advitiya Atma alone, so this Kamena Niyama Vidhina, Arthadeva. So it follows as a consequence. Bhinnatma Shastra Pravrutti. Bhinnatma. Bhinnatma what? Dvaita Atma. So it must be Advaita Atma Shastra Pravrutti, not Dvaita Atma Shastra Pravrutti. That you must study those scriptures which unfold or which reveal Atma as Advitiya, and not those scriptures which reveal Atma as Nana or Bhinna. And Vedikanam Puranadi Pradhanyam va. And then what? Vedanta Vakya eva. And so don't listen to Purana etc. for knowing the Atma, Vedanta Vakya. Vedikanam, for those who are Vedikas. So Nirasyate iti Vastugatihi. So Bhinna Atma Shastra Pravrutti Nirasyate, and Puranadi Pradhanyam va cha Nirasyate. So that is dismissed or eliminated by the Niyam Vidhi. So Niyama restriction eliminates things and pinpoints one thing. Iti vastu gatihi. Gati means jnanam. So that is the vastavikam jnanam. That's what actually this vidhi means here. Okay. Then, tatra kaschit iha janmani janmantareva anushtata yajnadivihi nitantam nirmalasvantah asya shravanadehe. So then, when you listen to this instruction, the person who is prepared, not everybody asks this question, but somebody will ask this question. Then you listen to this instruction that you must perform vichara upon Atma. Then many people will let it go, But there are some people who take it seriously because their mind is mature or prepared, and they will ask certain questions. Who will do this? So who will ask the question? Iha janmani janmantareva. In this birth or in the previous birth, anushtita yajnadivihi. On account of having performed all the yajna yaga, meaning on account of having performed all the nitya karmas, or let us say having led the life of dharma. So in this birth or in the previous birth, having led the life of dharma, having accumulated punya, because mukti no shrajanma kodi sukratahi punyair vina labhyate. Mukti you cannot gain unless you accumulated punyas in countless births. So what happens is you must still say in this birth or in the previous birth. Because there are some people who without having performed any action in this birth seems to be studying Vedanta. So we give them benefit of doubt that maybe in the previous birth they must have accumulated punya and are born with samskaras. And some people will find, having gone through a certain phase of life, then they enter into this. So we say that they must have accumulated in this birth. But anyway, iha janmani janmantareva. But one thing is certain, that antakarana shuddhi can only take place, purification of mind can take place only when you perform dharma. Only when there is virtue in your life, when there are values in your life, when there is worship in your life, then alone purification of heart will take place. So yajna stands for all that. Yajna means worship of Lord. Yaj dhatu, So yajnadabhi, by yajna, etc. Nitantam nirmala swantaha. Swantaha means antahkaranam. Nirmala swantaha, whose mind is pure. Nitantam nirmala swantaha, whose mind is absolutely pure. On account of having performed this karma or having accumulated punya. For this person, Shravana Videhe, ko-vishaya. In the mind of such a person, this question will arise. When he listens to this Niyama Vidhi, that Atma Vare Shrotamvya, then this question will arise. Ko-vishaya. What is the, when you say that one must study, what should I study? One must know, what should I know? Shravana Videhe, ko-vishaya. What is it that I have to know? Knowledge is interesting because his mind is sattvic. So when there is instruction about knowledge, he responds to that. The person whose mind is rajas, he responds to what? Swarga, etc. And fellow whose mind is tamas responds to what? Responds to those yagas which involve some bali, etc. These different kinds of things are there, different people respond. But sattvat sanjayate jnanam. So from sattva alone jnana arises. Therefore, one who is sattvika will respond to this vidhi which involves jnana and then ask this question, what is it that I have to study? Kim phalam? Alright, having known Atma, what is the phalam? What purpose is served? Kah adhikari. Who is adhikari? Who is the person who is the one who is fit to know the Atma or inquire into Atma? Kah sambandha. And what is the sambandha of the relationship between this knowledge and prayojan? Different kinds of sambandha are there. What is sambandha? Iti jignasate. This person will ask this question. One who is sattvic person, he will ask all these questions before he can proceed to respond to the instruction. As we said, we cannot proceed to respond to any instruction unless these questions are answered. Unless we get clarification, we never do anything. It's not that we immediately do things when we are asked to do. Simple instructions they don't follow. Come on, eat this. Why should I eat it? Who will eat it? And so on. Every instruction has immediately questions, Nobody ever responds right away. What? Adhikari nirnaya. And what is phalam? What is it that I'm going to get out of it? Am I going to get something out of this or not? And who is it meant for? All these questions are there. Having eaten, do I have to do something? Are you going to ask me to wash the dishes or something or what, And that also may be a question inside. That if I do this, then maybe I'm going stuck with something. God knows. So these sambandha, these questions may be there in the mind, we don't know. But any intelligent person will ask these questions. And the person who gives instruction must respond to the questions or someone else must do. If you cannot directly ask that person, what is meant here, then somebody else will give interpretation. That's what Sutrakara does here. Since from Upanishad you may not be able to find it right away, Sutrakara tells you who is the Adhikari or the Anubandha Chatushtaya for this vidhi. So says, Tam Jignasam Upalabhamanaha. Tam Jignasam must have similarly Bhagavan Badarayanaha. So, this Bhagavan Badarayana, who is Bhagavan? Utpattim cha vinasham cha bhutanam agatim gatim vetti vidyam cha savachyo Bhagavaniti. The word Bhagavan is being explained. The one who knows Utpatti and Vinasha, the creation as well as dissolution. Bhutanam agatim gatim, where the bhutas are coming from and where they are going to go. Vitti vidyam cha, he knows the knowledge as well as ignorance, meaning paravidya and aparavidya. He is called Bhagavan. So, Badarayana is called Bhagavan because he knows paravidya as well as aparavidya. He knows everything. Otherwise, you cannot respond. And you won't be able to do what Badarayana has done. So, Bhagavan Badarayana. Who is Badarayana? He is supposed to be Krishna Dvaipayana. That is his name. Badarayana is the title. Because Badaraha, Badri Vrikshaha. Badri means berry, fruit, more. So Badri Vrikshaha, Yasmin Deshe Santi, Saha Desha Vishesha Badaraha. That Badara is a particular place where there is an abundance of these trees, berry trees. It's called Badaraha. So Eva Ayanam Sthanam Yasya Saha Badarayana. That is a place where one dwells. It's called Badarayana. So there are many berry fruits and in that forest he lives, so he is called Badarayana. Somebody says so many worms also live there, Not in the berry forest, many other things also live. Would you say that a worm and a cheetah also is Badarayana? He says no. It is a Vyakarana point. But then this particular pratyaya shows that it is a name of a person and not actually. So Badarayana therefore becomes a name. It doesn't become merely a derivative meaning. It doesn't refer to, it's not a Visheshana, but it is a name, proper noun. And therefore, it excludes all worms, etc., who may be living in that forest also. So Badarayana is a person of this name who often lived in place where there were many berry trees. So he was called Badarayana. So somewhere near Badrinath. So that's why it's called Badrinath also. Same thing. Badrinath also is same berry. So that is where Badarayana used to live. There is a Vyasa Gufa there in Badrinath. So some such Jignasu must have approached Badarayana. Some Jignasum Upalabhamanaha. So having found a Jignasu, asking this question, Anubandha Chatushtayam Shravanatmak Shastrarambha Prayojagam Nyayana Nirnetum. Then, of course, the answer to these questions can be found in the Upanishad also. If you study the Upanishad, you will find the answer to this question here and there. Let ko vishayaha, what is subject matter? Then, kim phalam, what is the prayojanam? Who is adhikari? You can find it. But you may not be sure, because your understanding has to be very certain. You may or may not have the adequate reasoning to know whether my understanding is correct or not. Sometimes you read all right, but you are not sure whether what you understood is right. So you require some reasoning. And therefore, nyaya is required, tarka is required to establish the meaning of those statements. That this is what it means and not something else. So that kind of ascertainment is required. And therefore, nyayana, so anubandha chatushtayam nirnayatum. In order to ascertain what is the anubandha chatushtayam, nyayana, with the help of nyaya or tarka. Why? Shravanatmaka shastrarambha prayojagam. In order that this fellow may commence the study of the Shastra. Shastrarambhaka. That he may commence to study the Shastra. What is the nature of Shastra? Shravanatmakam. Because Shastra consists of words. And words are those which are listened to. And therefore, Shabda always goes with Shravanam. So Shabdatmakam Shastram is called Shravanatmakam Shastram. Because it is not something to be read. So, somebody may read the Shastra. He says, no, Shravanatmakam Shastram. Shastra is in the form of words and it must be listened to. And in order that one may commence to or begin listening to the Shastra, it is necessary for one to know what that Anubandha Chatushtaya is, and for that adequate reasoning is required. Nyaya is required. What is Nyaya? Vishayo Vishayasthaiva Purvapakshas Tathottaram Sangatishtedi Panchangam Shastra Adhikaranam Smritam. Nyaya means Adhikaranam. We explained it once before that Brahma Sutra consists of 4 chapters. Each chapter consists of 4 quarters. Each quarter consists of many topics or many sections. Each section has one subject matter. And that subject matter, each section deals with one subject matter and arrives at a certain conclusion. And to arrive at the conclusion, all these different elements are required. First of all, Vishaya. What is the mantra of the Upanishad that is discussed here? Vishaya, there is a doubt pertaining to that mantra, and therefore it is necessary to do Nirnaya. Where something is very clear, you don't require reasoning. But when thing is not clear, or where there are doubts, then you require. What did you mean by that? Why did you say that? What is the purpose of it? These questions you have to ask when there are doubts. So there are many statements of the Upanishad which create doubts. Because there are certain contradictory statements also, or a word may be used in different senses. There may be a common sense in which the word may be used, like Akasha, Prana, etc. And Upanishad may be using that word in a different sense, and therefore a doubt may arise. What does this word mean in this particular context? And therefore, it is necessary by Nyaya, that by this context, see what went before, and what is following now, and therefore this word only should mean this, and not something else. This is called Nyaya. So Vishaya is there, Vishaya means doubt is there, and then Purvapaksha. When there is a doubt, there are 2 fellows. So there is one fellow who says Purvapaksha, and he presents a Paksha which is opposed to Siddhanta. And then Uttaratvam, then there is an Uttarapaksha, meaning an answer given to that, and then Sangatihi or Siddhanta. There is a conclusion. So these are the 5 elements of Nyaya. So it's called Panchavayava. These 5 elements, Panchavayavopeda Adhikaranatmaka Nyayana. So we will find in Brahma Sutra different Adhikaranas, which each Adhikarana or each section deals with one topic and has these 5 elements in order to come to the conclusion of Vedanta Siddhanta. So in this manner, Nyayena Nirnetum, in order to ascertain the Anubandha Chatushtaya with the help of Nyaya, Sutram Rashayan Chakara. What is Sutram? Alpaksharam, Asandigdham, Saravat, Vishwato Mukham, Astobham, Anavadyam Cha, Sutram, Sutravido Viduhu. Sutra means an aphorism. And there are certain qualifications or characteristics of an aphorism. So when a teacher composes aphorisms, he must keep in mind all these different criteria. Alpaksharam must be brief, fewest possible words, not an extra letter even, or not an extra matra. No extra chakara should also be there. Not a single word or even a letter must be wasted. So alpaksharam, minimum words. Few words, or let us say minimum words. Sutra can be long, but that doesn't mean sutra has to be short. Generally it should be short. It could be somewhat long, but there should not be a single letter which does not serve a certain purpose. So alpaksharam, asandigdham. Sometimes we make statements which are so brief or small that it creates all kinds of doubts. What did he mean? So asandigdham, even though it should be brief, it should be clear, should not leave any doubt. Saravat. Saravat means must have an essence, or it must have a content or a meaning. Not that you say something for the sake of saying. Saravat, Vishwato Mukham. Very often one statement can have different kinds of meanings. Vishwato Mukham. Astobham. Astobham means it doesn't have any useless letter. Meaningless sound it should not have. Or Astobhyam sometimes says, well, it should not be shaken up by other reasonings. Or Astobham means that the words must be very clear. And Astobham Anavadyam Cha. Anavadyam means free from any kind of a blemish. It must be free from any blemish. There should be no grammatical error. There should be no error of logic. No blemish must be there. So these are the different criteria which a sutra or an aphorism must fulfill. Then alone that literature will be classified as sutra. That Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutras are accepted as sutras because each sutra satisfies this criteria. What is the doubt? What is the subject matter? Then what is Purvapaksha? What is Alpaksharam, Asandigdham, Saravat, Vishwato Mukham, Astobham, Anavadyam. Therefore, Nirnatum, Sutram, Rachayan, Chakara. In order to ascertain this Anubandha Chatushtaya, because there is a person who wants to know what the Anubandha Chatushtaya is, with the help of Nyaya, Sutram, Rachayan, Chakara, he composed this sutra aphorism, Asato Brahma Jignasa. The very first sutra, Asato Brahma Jignasa, is for ascertainment of the Anubandha Chatushtaya. Somebody says, well, we don't require a sutra to know what Anubandha Chatushtaya is. What is the Vishaya? What's the Prayojanam? Who is Adhikari? We can ascertain that ourselves by the study of Upanishads. Idea is that there are many statements in Upanishads which themselves reveal who the Adhikari is, and what the subject matter is, and what the Prayojanam is. So if we can independently ascertain, then you do not require the sutra. So somebody says here that it is possible for us to independently ascertain this Anubandha Chatushtaya from the statements of the Vedanta. And therefore, what is the need for the sutra? So Purvapaksha now starts here. He says you don't require the sutra because you must justify why the first sutra must be there and justify why the whole Shastra Brahma Sutra must be there. And therefore, in order to justify the need for Brahma Sutra, there is a discussion here to justify the need for the very first sutra. Because if from the Upanishad we can arrive at the same meaning which the Brahma Sutra gives us, then we don't require Brahma Sutra. If by our study of Upanishad we cannot come to that ascertainment, then we require Brahma Sutra for that ascertainment. That's the idea. And so somebody says here, it is possible to determine the Anubandha Chatushtaya independently also, then what's the need for Bhashya, for the Sutra? Says Nanu, Anubandha Jatam Vidhi Sannihita अर्थवाद वाक्य ही एवं ज्ञातुम शक्यम. This is nanu, the question here, anubandha jatam. Anubandha jatam is this group of anubandha, meaning vishaya, adhikari, etc. Artha, vidhisannihita, arthavada vakya hi. Arthavada vakya. What is an arthavada? Arthavada vakyatvam nama vidhi aghatitatve sadi vaidika vakyatvam. According to the Mimamsakas, a statement which directly gives instruction, vidhi, or prohibits something, nisheda, as we said yesterday, they are according to them the primary principal statements of Vedas. According to them, the purpose of Veda is to give us instruction, so that we can achieve the purpose of our life. And if there are statements in Vedas which do not give any instructions, they according to us are not meaningful. They must directly or indirectly be connected with a vidhi or nisheda. So those things which are indirectly connected with vidhi are called arthavada. Says that arthavadatvam vakyatvam nama vidhi aghatitatve sadi. Even though a vakya is not vidhi, Vedic vakyatvam, but it is a Veda vakya. Therefore it is pramanam. But then not in itself, it becomes pramanam by being a support to another vidhi vakya. Tena swartha tatparyakhanam tattvamasi. These vakyas, tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi, what are these? These are called arthavada. Vidhi shrotavya. So the Upanishad also we find vidhi shrotavya, mantavya. This is vidhi. And this statement is tattvamasi, that thou art. Aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Is it a vidhi? No. It's not a vidhi or instruction. It is not an instruction, it is in the vicinity of the instruction. Shrotavya, these instructions are found in the vicinity. When you find this kind of statement, they fall in what category? Arthavada. They are Vedic statements, all right, but they are not of the nature of vidhi, and therefore they are called arthavada. Meaning, they do not have tatparya, and they have swartha tatparya kanam. They have tatparya in themselves, but then they are not of the nature of vidhi, therefore they are classified as arthavada. So, tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi, all these vakyas are arthavada according to them. So, since such vakyas as aham brahmasmi, tattvamasi, etc. are found in the vicinity of this shrotavya mantavya vidhi, from such vakyas, anubandha jatam jnatum shakyam, we can know the anubandha chatushtaya from such statements itself. To illustrate, tasahi, to illustrate. Tyadathe karmachito lokah kshiyate एवमेवमुत्र पुण्यतो लोकः क्षीयते इति श्रुत्या यत् कृतकं तदनित्यमिति न्यायवत्या न जायते म्रियते वा विपश्चित् यो वै भूमात्म तदमृतम् अतः अन्यत् आर्थम् इत्यादि श्रुत्या च भूमात्मा नित्यः ततः अन्यत् अनित्यमिति विवेकः लभ्यते. First is called viveka. Nitya nitya vastu vivekah. What is the first qualification of adhikari? First he is discussing adhikari. Adhikari means a student who is fit to study, do this vichara, or study the scripture. Who is the adhikari? One who is possessed of the fourfold qualifications. What are the fourfold qualifications? Nitya, nitya, vastu, vivekah. So one must have the discriminative intellect to be able to separate the nitya from anitya. Because nitya and anitya are found to exist together. Shreyascha, preyascha, manushya medah. Both Shreya and Preya, or Nitya and Nitya, both of them come together. They are found in the same locus. Therefore, there must be a sense to be able to separate Nitya from Anitya. Like a swan can separate the milk from water, because they are in the same place. Alright, he says we can also, so then Viveka. Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Shatka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam cha. So Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka, that can be very easily ascertained. So says here, Tadyatha karmachito lokah. What is anitya and what is nitya? Tadyatha karmachito lokah kshiyate. Just as in this world, karmachitah, karmana chitah, karmachitah. Krushyadina chitah sampaditah, sasyadihi lokah bhogya ityartah. The Ratna Prabha says. Himself explains this statement some certain way. So karmachitah lokah. So loka means the result or the phala. That you attain the result of karma. What is the karma? Like agriculture, farming, etc. And what is the phala that you get? Sasyadihi, like the crops. So crops such as corn or rice or barley, that you gain as a result of acts such as farming, is what? Kshiyate. It comes to an end. It ultimately gets exhausted, it's perishable. So in this world it is our experience that whatever we acquire as a result of an effort is perishable because every effort is limited. And therefore the loka or the karma phala that every effort can yield also is going to be limited. And therefore loka that you acquire, all kinds of attainments that come as a result of an action are going to be perishable. Anitya. Tadyatha iha karma chito loka kshiyate evameva. Somebody may say that, all right, in the earth everything is perishable. Maybe in the heavens you may gain imperishable pleasures. This is no punya chito loka kshiyate. This is Chandogya Upanishad Vakya. So in the heavens also, those pleasures that you acquired as a result of dharma or punya karma, they are also going to be perishable. Why is it so? Yat krutakam tadanityam. Yat krutakam, that which is the product of karma is going to be krutakam means karyam. Yat karyam tadanityam. Anything that is a product is going to be perishable. And so sasyadihi, like crop, rice, barley are also products, perishable. Putra, etc. products, perishable. Wealth, etc. products, perishable. Name and fame are products. So anything that you acquire as a result of effort is going to be perishable. This is what we know from our experience here, and therefore we infer that in the heavens also if you acquire something is also going to be perishable. So this is Nyayavatya Shrutya. In this Shruti the Nyaya is contained. Yat Krutakam Tadanityam. That Nyaya. This is Anitya. The Shruti tells us what is Anityam. Anything that is acquired as a result of karma is going to be Anityam. Then what is Nityam? The Nitya means what? Imperishable. What can be imperishable? That which does not die. What is it that does not die? That which is not born. So Nitya is that which is free from death. And one thing can be free from death only when it is free from birth. And that's what we find. Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit. Vipaschit means what? Nitya jnana swarupa atma. Atma is nitya jnana swarupa. Atma is the nature of knowledge, which is changeless. Or eternal knowledge, imperishable knowledge. Of the nature of knowledge is what? Na jayate, is not born. Na mriyate, it does not die. So Atma of the nature of Nitya Vijnanam is free from birth and death. So Atma is Nitya. This is what we learn from the Upanishad. We don't need a sutra to know what is Nitya and Anitya. Or yo vai bhuma tadamrutam atah anyat artam. Yo vai bhuma tadamrutam. That is bhuma. Bhuma means that which is abundant. Means Brahman. That is amrutam, immortal. Brahman is immortal. Tatah anyad artam. Anything other than Brahma is what? Artam. Alpam. It is perishable. So Brahman is Nityam. Anything other than Brahman is Anityam. Atma is Nitya. Everything other than Atma is Anitya. Why Anitya? Because perishable. Why perishable? Because it is a product. Or it is a result of an effort. Thus we know this Nitya and Nitya Sriti Viveka Labhyate. So we find that from these statements of the Upanishads themselves, we are able to ascertain what is Nitya Vastu and what is Anitya Vastu. So Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka, we can in fact find the statements of the Upanishads in order for us to ascertain what Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka is. Therefore we don't require your sutra to determine that Viveka. How about Vairagya? Can you find these statements which will teach you Vairagya? He says yes. Parikshalokan, Karmachitan, Brahmanah, Nirvedamayat, Nastya Kritah Kritena, Atmanastu Kamaya, Sarvam Priyam Bhavati Ityadi Shrutya, Anatma Matra, Vairagyam Labhyate. So Viveka and then Vairagya. Anatma Matra Vairagya. Parikshalokan, Karmachitan. So Karmachitan again. So Karma Sampaditan. So loka is anubhuyate iti lokaha sasyadihi. So karmachitan lokan pariksha, having properly analyzed or examined all the lokas or the karma phalas that one can acquire as a result of karma, brahmana nirvedamaya. By brahmana meaning a contemplative person should in fact develop vairagya, an indifference towards this. Why? Nasta kritah kritena. Because kritena karmana akritam nasti. By karma you can never acquire or never achieve that is akritam or that which is eternal. And therefore one should analyze all possible achievements that one has made or all possible achievements one can make. It is possible, I know that whatever I have acquired so far is perishable. But I may hope that by going to Timbuktu, then I may be able to acquire something imperishable. In that case I will go there. But I must realize that whether in India or in Timbuktu, wherever I perform an action, the action can only produce a limited result. And therefore, any achievement, whether it's Anima, Garima, Laghima, Mahima, any kind of these siddhis also are all going to be what? Anitya alone. Because nastya krita kritena. By karma, an uncreated thing can never be accomplished. Whatever you accomplish is accomplished because there is a reason for it. There is a nimitta. Once the nimitta goes away, and then your accomplishment also will fall through. It won't remain with you. Why is something with you? Because there is some reason for it. Moment that reason goes away, you say, why do people all the time salute from morning till evening? Because the fellow has a lot of money. Where did he get? From lottery. So this chap won the lottery. Already became millionaire overnight. And so far people never looked at him also. Now that they knew that he is a millionaire, everybody started respecting. So from morning till evening, he received salutations from people. He knew why the salutations are coming. They are only coming because of money. If tomorrow he loses his money, nobody is going to salute him. So that salute is what? Anitya. Why? It is naimittika. So we should know why we are getting happiness, why we are getting honor, why we are getting respect. We should be very clear about it. All of them is due to some nimitta. Moment that nimitta goes away, nothing is going to remain. So I must always seek something that can remain with me, that will not desert me. These things are deserting me. That will not desert me. And that's why I said, akrutaha krutena nasti. I want something that is abhyabhikari, permanent. I cannot acquire that by karma. And that is akrutaha, by anatma. Anatma is the nature of product and therefore perishable. So anatma vairagya. Atmastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. So Brihadaranyaka says that things are dear to me. I love certain things. Why? I don't love those things for the sake of them. I love them because ultimately I love myself. And they become agreeable in loving myself. There is only one love affair, and that is with myself. And whoever becomes agreeable or helpful in conducting that love affair, he also becomes an object of love. And whoever comes in the way becomes an obstruction, he becomes an object of hate. So ultimately, Atma alone is object of love. Because that is where Ananda is. And that is why I must want it. So Raga for Atma and a Vairagya for Anatma. That will automatically arise when we study this kind of statement. Nityadi Shrutya Anatma Matre Vairagyam Labhyate Pariksha Anityattvena Nischitya. Pariksha means what? Anityattvena Nischitya. Having ascertained that all the achievements are going to be impermanent. Akrutaha mokshaha krutena karmana nasti. Karma tat phalebhya vairagyam praptvan ityarthaha. Nirveda mayat means what? The karma tat phalebhya vairagyam praptvan. From karma phala and from karma one must have vairagya. I am not interested. I am not interested in karma phala and therefore I have nothing to do with karma, and thus he becomes relieved of a great burden of having to do all kinds of things. This is called vairagya. This vairagya also you can find from Shruti. Then what? Samadhi Sattva Sampatti. Says Brihadaranyaka. Shanto Dando Paratastitikshu Samahida Shraddha Vitto Bhutva Atmaniva Atmanam Pashyed Shritya Samadhi Satkam Labhyate. So Shruti Brihadaranyaka says Shantaha Atmaniva Atmanam Pashyed. One must see the Atma in Atma, meaning in one's mind. So one must know the self in one's mind. What kind of mind should it be? Shantaha, Dantaha. There are no qualifications of mind. Not qualifications of Atma. Shantaha means one who is Shama, quiet mind. Mind free from likes and dislikes. Damaha, one whose sense organs are also quiet. Uparamaha, one who is abiding, one who enjoys an abiding mind. Titiksha, one who is forbearance. Shraddha, one who has faith. And Samadhanam, one who is single pointed. who is not distracted. So only these are all the qualifications of mind. Only when mind is of this disposition that one can see Atma, can gain the knowledge of Atma in one's mind. It is Shrutya Samadhi Shatkam Labhyate. Samadhi means Ekagra Chitta. Then this Samadhi Shatkam, thus we see that this qualification also we can see. So one is Shraddhavitva, other is Samahito Bhutva. You don't find all of them together. Although he says Shanto, Danto, Uparatas, Titikshu, Samahita, Shraddhavitva Bhutva. In Kanva Shaka, Shraddhavitva is not there, Samahita is there. The Madhyandini Shaka, other is Kanva Shaka. So Uparati Sannyasa. While Uparati one must mean Sannyasa or Sarva Karma Sannyasa. This is how Samadhi Shakta Sampatti Upalabhyate. And how is Mumukshutvam? He says, Nasa Punaravartate. It is Swayam Jyotiranandatmaka Mokshasya Nityatva Shrutya Mumuksha Labhyate. When a person knows that I am interested in Nitya Vastu, what is Nitya Vastu? Moksha is Nitya Vastu. How do you say Nasa Punaravartate? One who is free, one who is liberated, Nasa Punaravartate, he doesn't return again. He doesn't fall back to the ocean of samsara. That means what? That moksha is nitya. If having become mukta or free, and again you come back to the samsara, then that moksha becomes also anitya. But what does Shruti say? Nasa punara vartate. One who has become free, that enlightened person does not return to the samsara. That means moksha is nitya. And since I am interested in nitya vastu, I am interested in moksha. So a desire for moksha arises in me, that is how mumuksha arises. It is Swayam Jyotihi Anandatmaka Mokshasya. Moksha is the nature of Ananda. And Swayam Jyoti means Swaga Siddha. Moksha that depends upon itself is not a nimittaka. Does not depend upon some other nimitta. It depends upon itself, meaning it is self-sustaining. So once you become free, you don't require anything to remain free. When you are in heavens, you require punya to remain in heavens. Just as when you go to a restaurant, you require money to eat. Not in a house, but in the restaurant you do. When you are in heavens, you require punya to remain there. Suppose you are mukta, then what do you require to remain mukta? Nothing. Because mukti is self-sustaining. Therefore it is nitya. That's why it's called Swayam Jyotihi. Self-shining, self-existing, anandatmaka. Meaning of the nature of ananda or fullness. This is moksha. And so, nityatva shrutya. This moksha is nasa punaravartate. Meaning moksha is nitya. There is no return from that. So when we understand that moksha is nitya, mumuksha labhyate. One arises a desire for moksha. So mumukshutvam also can be seen as indicated by the scriptures. Somebody says that all right, you say that from the Upanishad, you can see that Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka, Sampatti, Mumukshutvam, all of this you can see. But nowhere specifically Upanishad says that one must have Viveka, Vairagya. They are all qualities. But the person who is qualified is not mentioned there. The answer is that when these qualities are mentioned, qualities always abide in a locus. And therefore, where would Vairagya be? Not in the air. Vairagya will be in a person. Where will Viveka be? Also in a person. Where Samadhi Sampatti will be? Also in a person. Mumukshutvam also in a person. And therefore, a person is automatically implied. Tathacha Vivekāda Visheshanavan Adhikari Iti Jnatum Shakyam. And therefore, Tathacha, in this manner, so from this, that there is an Adhikari possessed of Viveka, Vairagya, etc., is Jnatum Shakyam. Even though Shruti talks about Viveka Vairagya, since Viveka Vairagya require a locus, therefore that person who is possessed of Viveka Vairagya is required. That alone, he alone is fit to perform this vicharas. Iti Jnatum Shakyam. This is what we can arrive at. We can arrive at the Adhikari in this manner. Visheshananam dharmatvena dharminam vina sattva asambhavat. Dharmi rupa adhikari cha arthat jnatum shakyate. So all these visheshanas, they are the nature of dharma. They only abide in the dharmi, and so an adhikari, we can see that What is meant here is an adhikari possessed of this qualification. Where do you find this? Yatha ya etaha ratri upayanti iti ratri satra vidhau pratitishthandi iti arthavadastha pratishtha kamah tadvat. So, ya eta ratri upayanti says pratitishtanti havaya eta ratri upayanti iti vakyam. So what is this ratri? Ratri is what? This is name of a particular yaga. Ratri Satra. A yaga is called Ratri Satra. So a karma is called Ratri Satra. So Ratrim Upayanti. Upayanti means what? Upayuhu. One must perform. Means Kuryuhu. So this particular yajna, yaga called Ratri Satra, those people who perform this particular yaga called Ratri Satra, they gain pratishtha, they gain name and fame. That's what it says. So what does it mean? It means that those who are desirous of pratishtha should perform this yaga. And that's what it arthat, even though directly it doesn't say, it implies. It says the person, that fellow will announce, that today whoever wins, takes this lottery ticket will get 15 rupees or something like that. That means you take it. Obviously, because, so if you are interested in 15 rupees, then you do this. And similarly also, the one who, if you do this, you will get pratishtha. If you do this, you will get a job. If you do this, you will get interview. If you do this, you will get admission. Suppose you tell a child, if you chant Hanuman Chalisa 11 times, then you get admission in architecture. Suppose interest in art. The one who chants Hanuman Chalisa 11 times gains admission in architecture, school of architecture. Automatically one who is interested in that admission will chant that Hanuman Chalisa, even though we have not directly told him to do. But it amounts to saying that you better do this because you are interested. So pratitishthandi, ye pratishtham praptamisthandi. What it means is, those people who are desirous of pratishtha, ratri satyakhyani karmani upeyu kuryuhu. They should perform this karma called ratri satra, those who are desirous of pratishtha. Idea is that even though the statement does not directly give an enjoyment, an injunction is intended there for those people who are adhikari. Similarly also, when Upanishad talks about Viveka, Vairagya, etc., the person who is interested in doing the vichara automatically must acquire those qualifications, and therefore a qualified person is what is implied there, even though not directly mentioned. Well, this Vishaya now, first the Adhikari. Adhikari is the student who is qualified. Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Sattva, Sampati, Mumukshutvam. One who is possessed of these qualifications is Adhikari. Next is Vishaya. What is the subject matter of the Upanishads? So, we say Brahma. Asato Brahma Jignasa. The first sutra says what? Brahma Jignasa. So Brahma is a Jignasa Vishaya. So what is the subject matter of this Upanishad? Is Brahma. That's what the Sutra reveals the Vishaya also. It says therefore to know what Vishaya is you must study Sutra. It says no, we can know what the Vishaya is even from the statements of Upanishads themselves. It says Tatha Shotavyaha ityatra pratyarthasya niyogasya prakrityartho vicharaha Vishaya. Shotavyaha. There is Tavya Pratyaya. Shrutavya is a word that is expression derived from the root Shru. Shru, Shravane. Shru in the sense of Shravanam or listening. And so that is what we call a Prakriti and that is what we call Pratyaya. Prakriti means a root to which Pratyaya means a suffix is applied. That is how we arrive at different words. So Shrutavya is a word derived by a combination of the root Shru to which a Tavya Pratyaya is applied. And whenever Tavya Pratyaya is applied, then certain modifications take place to which it is applied. So Shru becomes Shro, and that is how that Guna takes place. And that's how we have present Shrutavya. So Shrutavya has two elements in that. One element is what? That root Shru. That's called Prakriti. Other is element that the suffix tavya, that is called the pratyaya. So Prakriti and Pratyaya, a combination of them gives us the expression Shrotavya. So this is where Vyakarana is required. Because every Pratyaya has a purpose, every Pratyaya has a certain significance. When you apply a particular suffix to a root, a different suffix will bring about different effects or different meanings. So Gam, for example, is Dhatu. Gataha, the one who is gone. Gantavyam, that which should be gone. And so, depending on what kind of pratyaya you apply, gatihi, going. All of these are derived from the root gam. Gam means to go. Gatihi, going. Gataha, that which is gone. Gantavyam, that which is to be gone. And so on and so forth. So many pratyayas are there. And therefore it is pratyaya that decides the meaning of that expression. Apparently a root has so many meanings contained in that. But then, what does pratyaya? There are different opinions here, but one opinion is this. The root gam, or to go, has so many meanings in it. And what does the pratyaya do? Pratyaya, like a suffix, reveals the meaning, a particular meaning. So gantavya means that which is to be reached. That brings about a particular meaning of the root gam. Gataha, the one, that which has been reached, or that one who has reached, that brings about another meaning of the root gam. And gatihi means going, that brings about another meaning of the root gam. So pratyaya brings about different meanings. And therefore, it is necessary to know what is the root and what is the pratyaya. And then, unless you know the root, you won't be able to find in a dictionary in Sanskrit. It is necessary to know the root, otherwise you won't find this Shrutavya. That word you won't find in the dictionary. You'll find the word Shru. You must know that Tavya Pratyaya is here, and Shru. Otherwise, there are all kinds of problems. Once it happened in Sandipani. There was in the Maha, we were reading this Bhashya, and Bhashya said, Tu Uchyate, became Tu Uchyate. Now there was an American student, and he wanted to know what is this. That fellow spent, 2 hours looking in the dictionary, Tu Uchyate, Tu Uchyate. He didn't find it. Frustrated. He said, what is this Tu Uchyate? It is 2 plus Uchyate. Even Uchyate also will not find. Because Uchyate also comes from what? From a root Vach. And therefore, Vach becomes Uchyate. So, unless you know the Vyakaranam, you won't be able to understand. That's with every language, not only with Sanskrit. With every language, we must know the grammar. Except that in the spoken languages, without grammar we get the sense from the very use of it. As we grow with the language, we grasp the sense. And so we know it without knowing the grammar. Without knowing the derivation of the word also, we know what the sense is. Because from the use. But when we don't have that, then grammar becomes extremely important. And then also, even when we know, in order to verify what we know, then wherever there is a doubt, that grammar becomes very necessary. And what is the root, what is the pratyaya, and so forth. So Shrotavya also has this root Shru, and Tavya is a pratyaya. So this root means what? Prakrutyartha, Vicharaha, Vishaya, Shru Shravane, in the sense of listening. But listening, as we said, only means a setup. So Vicharaha. So Shru there means Vicharaha. And Tavya means what? Niyoga. Niyoga means an order or instruction. Shrotavya means what? Vicharaitavya. That Atma must be inquired into. This is Vidhi. Shrotavya. That because Vidhi means an order or an instruction rather. So Shrotavya is yatra pratyayarthasya niyogasya. Pratyay tavya pratyaya, which means niyoga or an instruction. Prakrutyartha vicharaha vishayaha. And Prakriti is what? Shru dhatu, which means vicharaha vishayaha. So vicharaitavya, that's what it means. Okay, then he proceeds to discuss what all this means. How you arrive at the Vishaya from this. From the very instruction, how you arrive at the Vishaya, that he shows, which we'll see tomorrow. But this will give us some idea of what all kind of thinking goes on behind it. And some of this thinking we will have to be prepared for in order to study Brahma Sutra. Because otherwise we won't be able to know. Upanishads also require all these things. We may think that we may understand things all right, but then this analysis becomes necessary to really know the meaning of the words. And since the whole of our life depends on communication, after all, most important in life is what? Words, for human beings anyway. Because most of the knowledge is going by words. Communication takes place by words. So one who uses the words must know exactly what the words mean, and one who listens to the words also should know what the intention is, and then alone the communication will take place. So we will learn from this how to communicate. What all thought, thinking has gone behind, because Vedanta is a word, is a Shabda Rashi. Vedanta is Shastra of the nature of words. So words are very important. So words have received the greatest importance. How both of the knowledge takes place from words. How words convey certain sense. Through Prakriti they convey sense. Through Pratyaya they convey sense. And through context they convey sense. And so many things are involved. All of that we should know. In our own language also we should know. And then alone our understanding will be proper. So here we will come across from this analysis which will help us also to understand the processes taking place in our own mind presently also. Because all of this only is with reference to the functioning of the human mind. So we'll know how our own mind works and how we should make it work also. And so there is a lot of other education also involved in this kind of analysis. And we should be interested in that education also because it is relevant to us, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomavatyatra Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namah Ashubhani Nirachaste Tanoti Shubhasantatim Smrutimatrena Yakpumsam Brahma Tanmangalam Param Adhikalyana Rupatva Nitya Kalyana Samshayat Smartranam Vaidatvacha Brahma Tanmangalam Vidu Omkarashchata Shabdashta Dvavetau Brahmanah Pura Kancham Vitva Viniriyatau Tasmad Mangalikau Om Atha, Om Atha, Om Atha. Krishna is going on at the moment is to show the purpose that is served by the very first sutra, Athato Brahma Jignasa. The purpose that it serves is to ascertain the nature of what we call Anubandha Chatushta, who is Adhikari, what is the Vishaya, what's the Prayojanam, and what is the Sambandha. To ascertain this, because that becomes necessary in order for us to proceed with the study of the text. This is called Ubodhata, a preface or introduction. So first sutra is like a preface to the whole Shastra, which is Brahma Sutra. In preface, you always create the background for the subject matter and create the background that is necessary in order to proceed with the subject matter. And so this first sutra is of that nature. Why is it there? Does it serve any purpose? If it does not serve the purpose, it should not be there. If it talks about Anubandha Chatushta, if it talks about who the Adhikari is Sadhana Chatushta Sampanna. The one who is possessed of Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. So one who is possessed of these qualifications is Adhikari or the fit student to study the Vedanta Shastra. If we can get this knowledge or this understanding, if we can learn this from the very Upanishad, then there is no need for Brahma Sutra. Because without your doing this, we can, from the study of the Upanishad itself, we can arrive at who the Adhikari is. That's what the Purva-Pakshi has to say. This is how we start. First of all we say, we don't need it. And he has to establish the need of it. So Purva-Pakshi says, we don't need Brahma, this first sutra. And moment you arrive at the lack of need of first sutra, he'll say we don't need the whole Brahma Sutra. And so that is where the battle is. What's the need for the first sutra? Purvapakshi says that we can, from the very sentences in Upanishads themselves, we can arrive at who the adhikari is. Who is the adhikari, who the what the Vishaya is, the Anubandha Chatushtaya, we can arrive at ourselves, and therefore there is no need for this first sutra. And he showed us through various statements of the Upanishad how it is possible to arrive at an adhikari who is sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. That viveka, that there is logic, Tadhyatha I have karma chito lokah kshiyate evameva mutra punya chito lokah kshiyate. So that shows that the loka is kshaishnu, meaning it is anitya. And then yovai bhuma tadamurtam atah anyat artam. And najayate mriyate va vipaschit. Atma is one who is free from birth and death. So Atma is nitya, everything else is anitya. Bhuma is amritam, immortal, everything else is mortal. So nitya anitya vastu viveka, that we can arrive at from these statements of Upanishads. How about vairagya? Pariksha lokan karmachitan brahmana nirvedamayat. Nirveda means vairagya. So that shows how to arrive at vairagya. That when you do the pariksha of all the achievements through karma, then you arrive at vairagya. So this is then shanto dando paratasti dikshu shraddhavitto samahito bhutva atmaneva atmanam pashe. That shows that who is qualified or who is a fit person to see the Atma in the Atma, meaning to know the self within the mind or within the intellect. Shantaha dantaha uparataha tidikshu. So one is Shamali Shatka Sampannaha. And so we can arrive at Shamali Shatka Sampatti in this manner. How about Mumukshutvam? There also, Mumukshutvam, Nasa Punaravartate. It says the one who is Mukta or free, Nasa Punaravartate. He never has to return to this ocean of samsara. That means moksha is nitya. That's one thing. And so that moksha being nitya, also the nature of ananda, and therefore, because I am seeking the nitya vastu, and the Shruti reveals that moksha is nitya, therefore automatically moksha becomes an object of my seeking. So mumuksha, desire for moksha, also arises. I know that I want nitya vastu. What is nitya vastu? Moksha is nitya vastu, and therefore I want moksha. And that is how mumukshutvam also arises. And thus, from the study of the Upanishads, we can ascertain ourselves the nature of adhikari. That's one thing. Then said, okay, similarly also we can arrive at the Vishaya. What is the Vishaya? Vishaya is Brahma or Jiva Brahma Aikya. Identity between Jiva and Brahma is the Vishaya or the subject matter of Vedanta. That is what the first sutra seeks to establish. He says we can establish that ourselves. We said that this Anubandha Chatushtaya requires wherever there is a vidhi, wherever there is an enjoinment or an instruction, then always that instruction is directed to someone for a particular purpose, to do something specific in a certain manner. So Anubandha Chatushtaya is called for wherever any enjoinment or instruction is. So here, Shrotavya, that vidhi vakya, that statement of the Upanishad which has the nature of vidhi or instruction is Atma or Drashtavya, Shrotavya. Vedantins do not consider Drashtavya as a vidhi, but Shrotavya is taken as vidhi. Shrotavya, Mantavya, Nidhyasravya. Because Darshanam is not Purushantram. The Jnanam is always Vastu-tantram. So where Purushantratvam is there alone vidhi is possible. Meaning wherever I have freedom to determine what I can do or not do, then alone an instruction is necessary that may you do it in one way and not in another way. However, when it comes to the knowledge of an object like this flower, then I cannot determine what the flower is. Flower determines what the nature of knowledge will be. I cannot determine the nature of knowledge. I cannot insist that this is a pot or an elephant. I cannot insist. Why? Because the knowledge always is determined by the object, vastu. So jnanam vastu tantram. Whenever atma or drashtavya, that atma must be known, then knowledge of atma is determined by the nature of atma and not by the knower, and therefore there cannot be a vidhi in that. So that the meaning is arhatvam. So tavya pratyaya is in the sense of instruction, also in the sense of arhatvam, that it is something that is reverential or something that is desirable. So Atmavara Drashtavya is understood as Atmavara Darshaniya. Atma is Darshaniya. Atma is one that should be seen, is worth seeing. That shows that there is some reverence and some pujaniyatvam involved there. But Shrutavya, Shravana is something that I can do or I need not do. That being depend upon me, that becomes an instruction. You must listen to the Atma. And what is meant by Shravanam? Vichara. That Shrutavya, as we said yesterday, तथा श्रोतव्यः इति अत्र प्रत्यासस्य नियोगस्य प्रकृत्यर्थः विचारः विषयः. श्रोतव्यः, it consists of, as we said, two elements, the root shru and the suffix tavyah. That makes this, we arrive at this final expression, shrotavyah. What's the meaning of the root shru? That's called prakriti. Prakriti is that which undergoes a vikruti, by the way. So prakriti is prakarshena kruti yogyatvad. That which is subject to vikruti is called prakriti, meaning cause. So cause is that which is subject to undergoing the modification. So that shru dhatu, since it undergoes a modification to become shrutavya, so every root is called prakriti. And what's the prakrutyartha? Prakrutyartha vicharaha. Shru is shravane. So shravana is in the sense of vichara. And tavyah is pratyaya. So pratyarthasya niyogasya. Niyoga means direction or an order or instruction, injunction. So tavya is in the sense of niyoga, instruction or direction. So tavya, that means what? Shrutavya means what? Vicharaha kartavya. Shru means vicharaha and tavya means something that must be done. And so vichara must be done. This is what the word shrutavya means. So it is said, vicharaha, vishayaha. Now we are going to arrive at the vishaya, that is jiva brahmaikya. How? In shrutavya we don't see jiva brahmaikya. Atmavare shrutavya. Atma must be listened to. What do you mean by listen to? Listen to means vicharitavya. Atma must be inquired into. Vijijñāsitavya. Anveshtavya. Atma must be investigated into. Must be sought to be known. Must be inquired into. So vichara becomes the vishaya of this instruction, shrutavya. When the Shruti says shrutavya, what is intended there? That vicharaha must be done. So he said, prakrutyarthaha vicharaha vishayaha. The vishaya or uddesha in this case. What is intended by this instruction, shrutavya, is in fact vicharaha. So vichara must be done. Okay. Bhauta vicharaha vishayaha tathavi prakriti kimayatam. All right. Let vichara be the uddesha or what is intended by this instruction, shrutavya. But even then, what relevance does it have in the present discussion? So, there Ratna Prabhakara says, vicharasya vedantaha vishayaha iti shakyam jnatum. So what we are going to say here is, the shrutavya has its vishaya as vichara, vichara has its vishaya as vedanta, vedanta has its vishaya as jiva brahma aikya, and therefore shrutavya has a vishaya in jiva brahma aikya. This is how we are going to arrive at. So first, vichara is the vishaya of shrutavya, because shru dhatu means vichara. Then vicharasya vedantaha vishayaha iti shakyam jnatum. And then it is possible to know that Vedanta is the very vishaya of vichara. Means vichara must be done about what? Here vishaya does not mean the object in that sense. Vishaya means uddeshya. So that which is intended, or that which is to be illustrated or explained. So vichara must be done with respect to what? With respect to Vedanta. So it's nanu vitha. How Atma drashtavya iti advaita atma darshanam uddeshya shrutavya iti vichara vidhana. Why do we say Atma drashtavya? What does Upanishad say? Atma drashtavya. Atma must be known. What does it mean? Iti advaita atma darshanam uddeshya. Because Atma vare drashtavya, how the Atma should be known? Shrutavya. It must be, Shrutavya means it must be listened to. or by vichara, Atma must be known. See, it's very interesting, that statement. Atmavare drashtavya, shrutavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya. This is a statement. So first is Atmavare drashtavya. Atma must be clearly known. And so question arises, how can Atma be clearly known? So next, shrutavya. You must listen to in order to know the Atma clearly. So the Shravanam becomes what? The hetu for darshanam. Shravanam becomes the means for darshanam. And so, now alright, so having done that, Atma drashtavya iti Advaita Atma darshanam uddishya. So keeping in mind the Advaita Atma darshanam, the knowledge of Advaita Atma, the self that is non-dual, Shrutavya iti vichara vidhanat. Then, keeping in mind that darshanam, then Shruti says, Shrutavya iti vichara vidhanat. Shruti says that you must in fact conduct a vichara or inquiry in order to know the Atma. So vichara of the Atma is something that is enjoined. Vichara vidhanat. So vichara is something that is enjoined in order to know the Atma. So Shruti herself reveals Shravanam as the means for darshanam. Okay, how? Then the Tikakara himself explains Nahi iti. Nahi vichara sakshat darshana hetu apramanatvat. Says the yet Tikakara here in Purnanandya, nanu vicharasya darshana hetutvevi katham vedantanam vichara vishayatvam asankya kintad hetutvam sakshat paramparaya va. So Shruti says Atmavad drashtavya shrutavya. Means that Shravana or Vichara becomes the means for darshanam. Then the question is, does that Vichara become the means for darshanam directly or indirectly? If you do the Vichara, does it produce knowledge itself or does it produce knowledge through some other step? Then he says, Tika Ratna Prabha says, Nahi Vichara Sakshat Darshana Hetu Apramanatvad. Vichara or inquiry cannot become the hetu directly for knowledge of anything. After all, what is the hetu or what is the means for knowledge of this flower? For seeing this flower, what is the hetu? Hetu is the eyes. So eyes are the pramanam or the valid means of knowledge for seeing this flower. And nose becomes the pramanam for knowing the flavor of this flower. So for knowledge, pramanam always is a direct hetu. For knowledge of an object, pramanam or valid means of knowledge alone is directly the cause for knowledge. Nothing else. Vichara meaning inquiry is not a means of knowledge. What is means of knowledge? Vedanta is a means of knowledge. Words of the Vedanta, Tattvamasi, that Mahavakya is the means of knowledge. That creates the knowledge. How can words create the knowledge that we discussed the other day? That when it comes to an object which is sannihita, meaning which is right here, and I do not know that object, then the words become the means of making me that object know directly. Thus this person is standing before me, I am talking to him, and I do not know who he is, and someone comes along and tells me, Swamiji, do you know this person is so and so? Oh, really? When I saw that little child, he was like that, and now he is so tall, and you don't recognize. Then you see the features of the child, and then you recognize, hey, this is that one. So the words of my friend have become means, direct means for revealing this person or knowledge of that person. So in this unique case, where the object of knowledge is in the vicinity, something that is known generally but not known particularly, that the words become the means of, direct means of knowledge. Where Vishesha Jnanam is, Samanya Jnanam is there, but Vishesha Jnanam is not there. That the person is there, but who that person, that knowledge is not there. In that case, words become the means for direct knowledge, immediate knowledge. Similarly, Vedantas, what is Vedanta? Tattvamasi, that thou art. What is that? That which you are seeking. That which you are seeking to become. That which you are seeking to accomplish. that we are seeking to attain. In fact, that you are. What am I seeking to attain? Fulfillment, completeness, limitlessness is what I am seeking to be. You are limitless. And these words reveal myself as limitless because I recognize that the sense of limit, that these words reveal that the sense of limitation is false. Where I think that I am a limited being, and when Upanishad says that you are limitless, if Upanishad is pramanam, that means that this sense of limitation is false. So this Mahavakya, which reveals the Atma as Brahman, reveals the falsehood of my sense of limitation or Jivatvam. The whole samsara is false. That you are feeling a sense of limitation is false. Because why do I feel? I think I am a samsari. I am one of this whole universe. That means that sense of isolation or duality is also false. That which creates in me a sense of limitation is this division. If sense of limitation is false, the division also is false. If division is false, but then I perceive the division all along, that means perception also is false. Or at least it does not reveal the ultimate object. It reveals that one in a different way, in a false way. And thus this one little statement reveals the mithyatvam of the duality, mithyatvam of the whole universe, mithyatvam of the creation. If you think about it, and Upanishad itself thinks about it. What is meant by Tat? What is meant by Tvam? What is meant by Asi? And thus, that statement of Vedanta, which is called Mahavakya, that is Pramanam. That is the direct and valid means of immediate knowledge. Understand how words can be Pramanam. How Vedanta, meaning Mahavakya, is Pramanam. So these words, if your mind is ready, then the words will immediately make you see. If the mind is not ready, then you must make inquiry into what is the meaning of that Tat. What does the teacher mean when he says you are that you are limitless? What does it mean? I feel limited. Then maybe what I feel is not right. Maybe there is some error being committed. So whole error or adhyasa is being revealed by the statement. Some adhyasa is there. What you take yourself to be is wrong. What you take the world also is wrong. So ignorance, adhyasa, everything is revealed by that one little statement. Keeping that in mind, the whole adhyasa, bhashya, etc. is there. So idea is Vedanta or Mahavakya is the darshana hetu. It is a means for immediate knowledge. Then you say that vichara. Shruti says vichara becomes the darshana hetu, drashtavya. Actually Vedanta or Mahavakya is darshana hetu. Then how do you say that vichara is darshana hetu? How does Shruti say that? Then we say that vichara is a darshan hetu, not directly, but indirectly. So vichara becomes the means for enabling us to understand the meaning of Vedanta. Vedanta, no doubt, is the only means for knowledge. But we have to understand what Vedanta or the statement means. And vichara enables us to arrive or ascertain the meaning of that Mahavakya. And that is how vichara indirectly becomes a means for knowledge. Unless you do vichara, you won't be able to understand what Upanishad says. Because what Upanishad says so totally contradicts our experience. What Upanishad says totally contradicts our experience. Which says you are limitless, no way I can accept that. The world is mithya, I can't accept that. The world means duality is mithya. Sense of limitation is mithya. I cannot understand that. So it requires vichara. Unless you do vichara, it is not possible, unless we make an inquiry into the meaning of these statements of Upanishad, it is not possible for us to arrive at the meaning of those statements. And unless we arrive at the correct meaning, we won't be able to gain the knowledge that those statements are meant to produce in us. And so Vedanta becomes means all right. But what? It says Vedanta. Nischita Vedantanameva Shabda Buddho Hetutvam. Nischita Vedanta. Only when the Vedanta Vakyas are ascertained properly. The idea is that the student must understand the words of the teacher in the same sense as the teacher has intended them to be. So Upanishads are the words of the teacher, and we should understand them in the same sense in which the teacher has intended them to be. And therefore, only when there is a nischaya, that is a tatparya nirnaya, of what is intended by the words, when the Tatparya Nirnaya is done, then alone the words are understood properly, and then alone those words become the means for knowledge. So, Nischita Vedantanam eva Shabda Buddhu Hetutvad. Shabda Bodh means the Bodha or the knowledge which is as a result of Shabda. For that, the Nischita Vedanta, not just words of Vedanta. Otherwise you keep on repeating Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi, that doesn't become the means of knowledge. You must know what is Aham, what is Brahma, what is Asmi. And that may require a lot of preparation. It may require preparation in terms of disposition of mind and so forth. And therefore, then alone that those words become the Pramanam. So Nischita, that's our Adhikaritvam. Nischaya also will be possible only by an Adhikari and not by everybody. So Nischita Vedantavanameva Shabda Buddhavu Hetutvat Nischaya Vishishta Vedanta Pramana Dvara Vicharasya Hetutvam te Sambhavati iti bhavaha. Vichara becomes a means, vichara is a means for the Nischaya or the ascertainment of the true meaning of Vedanta, and Vedanta is the Pramanam for Darshanam, and that is how vichara indirectly becomes the means for Atma, Darshanam or knowledge of Atma. That's what the Tikakara said there. Number 1 says, Nahi vichara sakshat darshana hetu apramanatva. Vichara is not pramana. So as long as you keep on thinking, you cannot know Atma. Because thinking requires a thinker. As long as thinker is there so long, the Atma the very Atma of the thinker cannot be known. However, thinking becomes necessary to know that the thinker is false. So thinking is necessary to know the falsehood of thinker. And that is how thinking also will stop. And the true nature of the thinker is revealed. But in order for that to happen, I must realize that the thinker is false. And then only I can drop off that costume or that role of thinker. Otherwise I cannot drop off. For me, to drop off something, that Mithyatva Nischaya is necessary. And that is what Vichara does. And therefore it says, Nahi Vichara Sakshat Darshana Hetu. True, that inquiry cannot be, or contemplation cannot directly become the means of, or that process of thinking cannot directly become the means for knowledge. Apramanatvad, because vicharam is not pramanam. That inquiry or thinking is not pramanam. Apitu pramana vishayattvena, Vedanta is pramanam. Those words are pramanam. And words become pramanam when the meaning of the words is correctly ascertained. For ascertainment, vichara is required. So, apitu pramana vishayattvena. Since pramanam is the vishaya of the Vedanta, vichara. Pramanam vishaya uddesham yasya vicharasya saha pramana vishaya. So, pramana vishaya means what? Pramanam becomes the uddeshya. So, purpose of vichara is to ascertain the meaning of the word, and that is how it is the words which become the direct means, but vichara becomes the indirect means through enabling us to see the correct meaning of the word. Okay. So, pramanam vishaya. Vishaya shrotavya has its vishaya in vichara. Vichara has its vishaya in pramanam. What is pramanam? Says Ratnaprabha. Pramanam cha advaita atmani vedantaha eva. Advaita atmani. With reference to Atma who is Advaita or Advitiya. With reference to the non-dual self, what is pramanam? Vedantaha eva. Vedanta alone is a pramanam for the knowledge of Advitiya Atma. Because that is one thing that can never be known by us through our own effort or through the means of knowledge available at our disposal. Vedantaha eva idivakarena anumanagrihe pramanyam niraskrite. That means pratyaksh or perception is not the means for knowing Atma. Anumana means inference also is not the means of Atma, knowledge of Atma. And then all other means, like Arthapatti, etc., which are all based on one kind of Anumana or the other anyway. So they are not the means for knowledge of Atma. Only Vedanta Shabda. then why are you using all the time so much logic? You say on one hand that logic or anumana, inference, is not the pramana. All the time you are using logic only. Vedanta is very logical. Vedanta is not logic. Vedanta is darshanam. Darshanam happens to be logical. And so don't say that Vedanta is a product of logic. Vedanta is all logic? No. The logic becomes pramana. Vedanta is not all logic. Vedanta is darshanam. Logic is there to ascertain the meaning of the Vedanta, that's all. So it said that Shrauta Sambhavana Tattvena Gunatara Pramanya Angvikarebi Na Mukhya Pramanya Vibhava. Says here that inference also is accepted in a way as a means of knowledge, but only Gaunam, in secondary sense. In every inference or reasoning helps us to understand the purport of Vedanta. Therefore, inference or the reasoning is quite required. Reasoning becomes a pramana by revealing or by enabling us to understand the true meaning of the words. That way, anumanam also is helpful pramana, but not the direct means. So, knowledge is not a product of logic. Or what? Vedanta is not product of logic. Vedanta is logical, but not the product of logic. So the kind of logic that is employed is what we call anukula tarka, anukula chintanam. So pramanam cha advaita atmani vedantavanam eva. Eva is what? Anya vivakshedaka. It excludes everything other than Vedanta. Only Vedanta alone is a pramanam. How do you say that? Svantu aupanishadam purusham vedanta vijnana sunischitartha iti shrutehe. Upanishad Shruti herself says, Tantu aupanishadam purusham. When some student comes to a teacher and says, please teach me that Upanishad Purusha. Upanishad means what? Upanishad ekagamyam. So Purusha means Atma. Is called Upanishad, meaning what? Upanishad ekagamyam. Atma is that which can be known only by Upanishad and not by anything else. So from a statement of a student we see this. In the Upanishad Upanishad, one person walks to the teacher, Yajnavalkya, and asks him, please teach me the Upanishad of Purusha, meaning Atma that can be known only by Upanishad. That's reveals that Atma can be known only through Upanishad. Atma is Upanishad. Not to Sarvam Upanishadam Brahma. That Brahma is what? Upanishadam. Upanishad ekagamyam can only be known through Upanishad. However, in case of Advaita Vedanta or Advaita Atma, Pramana is what? Upanishad, meaning Vedanta. Vedanta vijnana sunischitartaha sannyasayovat yadaya shuddha sattvaha. So Vedanta vijnana sunischitartaha, those people who gain ascertained knowledge through Vedanta, that shows that it is Vedanta vijnana, the vijnana or the knowledge that is generated by Vedanta, those who have truly ascertained that. Vedanta is the means for vijnana. So these two Shruti reveal that the Vedanta is the pramanam for Advaita Atma. So Shrotra has its uddeshya in Vichara. Vichara has its uddeshya in pramanam. For any pramana Vichara. Pramana is Vedanta. Now what is the matter of Vedanta? Vedantanam cha pratyak brahma aikyam vishvaraha. And the Vishaya, or the subject matter of Vedanta, is what? Pratyak brahma aikyam. Pratyak is Atma and Brahma is Brahma. Pratyak, so pratilom vena anjati iti pratyak. So that goes in the reverse direction. The whole world is asat. When jadam, when dukkharupam, when that which goes in altogether a reverse direction, which is what? Chit Ananda, which is true and which is conscious and which is Ananda, that is called Pratyak. So Pratik also can be inner here. So Pratik means the Atma, the indwelling self. That is Satchidananda there. And Brahma, Pravikyam Visharaha. So Pratik also means Jivatma. So what the Upanishad seek to reveal is the identity between Jiva and Brahma. That's the only purpose this Brahma, nothing else. There is no other Upanishad may talk about a lot of other things. But what it really stands for, or it is pramanam for God, only Jiva, Brahma, Aikyam. How is it? Tattvamasi. So this reveals the identity between Tat and Tvam. Because both of them are placed in the same locus. Both of them are enjoying a nominative singular case. So Tat and Tvam, both of them are in the same locus. That means that both of them refer to the same locus. Aham Brahmasmi, that Aham and Brahma are Samadhikarana. Samadhikarana. Therefore, Aham and Brahma are identical. So these statements of Upanishad reveal the identity right here between Jiva and Brahma. And so we say that the Vishwara of the Vedanta, that Vishwara is Prabhupada. There Vishwara is Uddeshya, that which is implicated here, Vishwara is Prabhupada. That which is the subject matter. So subject matter of Vedanta, that which Vedanta teaches us, is the identity between Jiva and Brahma. And thus, in this manner, when arrival is the Vishwara also, when we study the Upanishad properly, we can arrive at the Vishwara, that is Jiva, Brahma, Aikya, is the Vishwara of Vedanta. Of that, of Vedanta Shrutadvya. Not Vedanta, but Shrutadvya. Because it requires Anuvanda Chatusthira. And what is the subject matter of the Vishwara? Jiva, Brahma, Aikya, which also we can arrive at. So Dhikari we can arrive at, and the Vishaya also we can arrive at. And Pravajana also we can easily arrive at. So this for Evam Vichara Videhe Phalamapi Jnanadvara Mukti. Evam in the same manner. The same manner we can also arrive at the Prayojanam. Vichara Videhe means Shravana Videhe. Of this Vichara or Shravana Vidhi, Phalamapi, what's a phalam? Because whenever any instruction is given, there must be a purpose behind it. Nobody will give instruction without any purpose. And the person who follows instruction also will follow because a certain purpose is to be achieved. Otherwise, who will undertake any activity? Namandopi pravartate prayojanam anuddishya. Even a fool will not undertake any activity unless there is some purpose to be served. So when we give instruction to someone, that someone would want to know, why should I do this?